Next up, Ms. Pascal, up to you.
Yes.
You have a PowerPoint?
Good morning. Yeah. So I'm going to try to convince you that Oceania is more important than you think it is. And this is something that I don't have to convince the Japanese in the room about because they know it very well and they've been very engaged in Oceania for a long time. But if you're sitting in London and you're used to that London-based map, Oceania is literally at the edges of the map on both sides, and it seems almost off the map. But if you look at a map which valorizes sort of the Indo-Pacific and flips it around so you see how the blue continent looks, you realize that the countries of Oceania, which are over here, that region, are actually in a highly strategic zone and in the middle of a lot of shipping, and a lot of the current jostling for power is based out of this location. The ambassador this morning went back all the way to 1941. I'm going to go back a few thousand years more. The people of the region consider themselves the first Indo-Pacific people because the Austronesian language group and population group stretched through the region that we now call the Indo-Pacific region. And it's very much in the mentality of the countries, of the people of the Pacific countries. They're thalassocratic states. They think of themselves as navigators, as people of the ocean. And it's something that Japan has mentioned repeatedly in their conversations with the people of the Pacific. This area has been strategic for a very long time. If you wanted to have some influence over Asia, if you were in the Americas or vice versa, you wanted bases out of the region. So this is when the US started to expand westwards across the Pacific. You started to see possession after possession after possession popping up as a bridge or a front line, depending on how peaceful things were across the area. The people of the Pacific were not passive observers in this. As far back as 1886, the King of Tonga signed a reciprocal nation-to-nation military treaty with the United States that allowed US boats to resupply in Tonga and Tongan boats to resupply in the US. There weren't that many that went the other way, but it was a statement of we are a real country and we know how these things work. The way that it works now, currently, geopolitically, this is, we think of these countries as small countries, but because of the unconventional law of the sea, every little dot, every little habitable island gets a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone around it. So they actually cover a lot of the Earth's surface. In fact, the Kiribati, which is here, and here, has a population of about 100,000 people and covers as much of the planet as India. The major powers are also very present in the region, so everything that's red on this map is an outright US territory. Foreign policy decided out of DC. Everything that's blue is outright France. Foreign policy decided out of Paris. Orange is the realm of New Zealand, and yes, that's what they call it. And even the UK has Pitcairn, which gives it a very big right to be in the region. So it is a strategically complicated zone. It is not empty, and it's increasingly getting contested. And again, the islands of the Pacific are playing the game. They've been doing this for a long time, and they know what they're doing, and they're recognized in the region. This was at the coronation of the current King of Tonga in 2015. The Crown Prince and Princess of Japan attended the coronation. She rarely leaves Japan. And you can see by her posture that these families are very close and have a lot of respect for each other. These are not passive observers. Now, from a Western strategic concept, why do we think these are important? The island chain defense theory, I don't have to tell anybody in the room about this, has been dominant as the way of looking at the region for a very long time. This is, it's all basically about China currently. So you've got the first island chain, which goes down the coast, the second island chain, which includes Guam and Saipan, already contested, already heavily militarized. China's got it in its PLA Navy handbooks. This is, both sides know that this is the construct. And China is working its way into the third chain. And from a Western strategic outlook, this is problematic because at the end of the Cold War, the big boys, the US and the UK, basically pulled out of the region and said, it's your problem now, Australia and New Zealand, you take care of it. And there have been concerns that that may not have been happening, in part because of Chinese influence within Australia and New Zealand. Now, Australia and New Zealand are very aware of this, and there's, in the last year especially, there's been an overt pushback to regain Australia and New Zealand's position in the area, which Australia calls a step up and New Zealand calls the reset. But this is a very dynamic region, and this is the background for understanding the Japanese engagement in the region. The British are coming back. They're reopening three embassies in the region, and Japan is as well. Japan always took Oceania seriously. Japan has 9 embassies in the Pacific Island countries, so every country with a blue circle has an actual Japanese ambassador sitting in that country. Compared to, for example, the current US missions and the current UK and proposed UK missions combined cover those 9 countries, the same 9 countries. So what is Japan doing to improve its Japanese Oceania engagement? A lot of infrastructure. Anybody wants this presentation, they can have it. You don't have to bother taking notes. There's an understanding in Tokyo that just by providing basic services, you can get countries not to have to take out those Chinese loans. So water, infrastructure, roads, schools, electricity. Japan does it very well. They hire local people. The quality is good. They've also, the government also changed rules to allow investment in dual-use installations, ostensibly for humanitarian assistance and disaster research. Very, very well received. Things, and not small things, but for example, in Tonga, they just opened a almost $30 million domestic wharf, which is going to be very useful for the Tongans. Some of it is more overtly military now. So in Guam, the government of Japan funded some improvements on the US naval base, and Japan and the US are doing much more joint maneuvers in the area. The Nippon Foundation and the Sasakawa Foundation have donated a lot of patrol boats to try to help the countries of the region patrol their own seas for illegal fisheries and other things. It's going to require more training, and Japan is very well aware of that and is working on that as well. Japanese tourists are great. Everybody loves the Japanese tourists, right? And when Palau was having its problems with the Chinese tourists, there was almost a plea, please Japan tourists, come and enjoy our beautiful beaches. The Japanese, unlike other Asian countries, Japanese don't emigrate usually to the islands and displace local businesses. There's some Japanese criminal presence. It's mostly minimal, and it's certainly nothing compared to what we see out of some of our Chinese partners. Japan hires Pacific Islanders to play rugby. That's very strong for building connections between the two. The Pacific Islanders love it. Overall, Japan is seen very positively in the region. This is a big, important strategic region, and Japan has a very good reputation. The current push is on specifically maritime security. Japan has a major triennial event, the Palm Summit. The theme of this year's one, they held it in 2018, was We Are Islanders, Partnership Towards Prosperous, Free, and Open Pacific. They didn't put the Indo in there, but the Indo was in the speech. It was chaired by Prime Minister Abe and Prime Minister Tuilepe of Samoa. They focused specifically on maritime security and free and open Indo-Pacific. And Prime Minister Abe opened it by saying it was the ancestors of the Palm peoples in that long-distance past that brought about the confluence of the two seas through trade. So again, hearkening back to these ancient connections. There are a lot of very specific commitments for investments all across the region, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of people-to-people, a lot of scholarships, and as the ambassador said this morning, an increased focus on private sector. Because a lot of these countries they just need investment. They need, good, clean, clear, not debt-linked investment. And there is much more trade than you would expect in the region. So these are, for example, for the commodity exports out of Papua New Guinea, their major exporting destination is to Australia, but number 2, ahead of New Zealand, is to Japan. These are fossil fuels and copper, mostly. So there is a lot of trade. There's, $4.2 billion worth of exports from Papua New Guinea going into Japan. So Japan has figured out the bottom line for successful engagement in Oceania, which comes down to this Maori proverb, which is, what's the most important thing in the world? It's the people, the people, the people. And Japan has been very focused on improving the lives of the people of the Pacific, and in that way has gained trust and respect and a lot of goodwill in a very strategically important area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cleo, for offering a perspective that I think here in London